Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video for you here. This is Tuned In Sports. My name is Bryson.
I'm Steve.
And we are coming back at you with another video today. Today was week one for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And as you can see, I'm all repping the squad. Pretty happy with today's performance. I believe the ending score was 38-19 or something around that range. But it should have been less than that. But we gave up a last-minute touchdown at the end of the game. So with that being said, it was a pretty good performance today by Alabama. They did a lot of good things. At halftime, it was 28-3. You can't ask for much better than that. And I was just overall pretty happy with how we played.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't expect anything less from Nick Saban. He's been a quality coach for a long time, and pretty much everywhere he goes, he wins. So I wasn't surprised to see it. Just a solid effort, though. Like you said, I mean, they got out to a 28-3 lead at halftime, which is really nice, and it gives you a little breathing room. And Missouri's usually a pretty good squad as well, and they've been well coached over the or normally are pretty well coached. So it was a pretty good victory for them today, and I expect some similar stuff moving forward from this team.
Yeah, the Missouri, they got as far as I know, a new quarterback in there and their brand new coach also. So I was really anxious to kind of see what their team was going to look like this year. And I was happy that we were able to come out and take advantage of the fact that they've got a lot of moving pieces this year, because it's really important, especially if you want to be and consider yourself one of the better teams in the league, I guess you would say, that you come out and take care of business against teams that you're supposed to beat and take advantage of some of the weaknesses of these teams. And I definitely feel like we did that today. Mac Jones, I thought that he played really well. He ended up finishing 18-24, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, which, you look at that and you think, well, that's really not that great. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but I think Jeff Driscoll did about the same thing for Denver a couple weeks ago, or last week. So the stats in themselves, it's not great, but a lot of the balls and stuff that he threw, first of all, he was very accurate, and he put some balls just right on the money, right where they needed to be. And I was really anxious to see, again, how he was going to look, because last year he came in and played a handful of games when Tua got hurt. But apart from that, he didn't play that much. And he looked decent at times, but then other times he looked like a backup to Tua. But today he came out and he played really well. He made good throws, and most importantly, he didn't turn over the ball.
Right. That's really the key for Alabama, is just not to have any turnovers and beat yourself. I mean, they're going to beat 9 out of 10 teams just based on pure talent level. Most of Alabama's backups could probably start at Missouri. So, I mean, there's a difference in probably the talent level between the two schools. So, I mean, as long as you're not out there beating yourself by, getting interceptions and turning the ball over and stuff like that, then, Alabama's always going to put themselves in pretty good position to win the game. And, but it is good, because these guys that, like every year Alabama seems to basically get cleaned out, by the NFL draft. They tend to have a lot of players leave the team every season, and so it's constantly kind of, next man up, or the next person in line is playing this next season. So with that being said, that just tells you about the kind of recruiting that Alabama has and the job that Nick Saban's done there. Because, like I said, when you look at all the recruits and stuff that they're able to bring in all the time, they're they could be starting anywhere else, and they're backups in Alabama. So
yeah,
just credit to their credit to their college and the job that's been done there.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of quarterbacks, though, I did want to touch on Bryce Young. He came in and took over for about third quarter. I believe it was either the end of the third quarter or the start of the fourth. And I definitely thought he could have done better. I can see why he didn't win the starting job. I think he's got a lot of promise, but I just don't think he's ready yet. And I think that a game like this where he was able to come in and get some snaps was good for him. But, he came in and one of the first things he did was run for a decent or short little gain, but then fumbled the ball at the end of the play. And, as a quarterback, especially a quarterback who's rushing, the biggest thing you need to do is, well, one, not take a huge hit, and two, hold on to the football if you're going to do that. Now, I know that he's like the number one rated dual threat quarterback coming out of high school this past year, so I'm sure he is doing that, and I'm sure that he will continue to improve in that area, and I doubt that this is a regular thing. But again, you're no longer in high school, you're in college where the best players from a lot of teams that you played in high school are now filling every position. The best player from the other team that you used to play against is now the best player at every position, and you can't be turning the ball over like that, especially when you're near the red zone like they were. So I thought he could have been better. He ended up throwing 4 for 5 with 41 yards, but I just thought he could have played better. But really, it doesn't matter too much because I don't think it does matter, but I just think, the game wasn't garbage time anyways, so it didn't come to bite Alabama or anything. But these are mistakes that we got to iron out because I'm guessing he's going to be the future here pretty soon. He'll be taking over for Mac Jones when he's done. So, these are not mistakes we can afford to make. And Mac Jones didn't make any of those kind of mistakes. So,
well, I don't think it's a situation where Alabama's, there's a reason he's sitting behind Mac Jones. So,
yeah,
he's going to learn. I think Saban's just trying to get him some game time. I'm sure he doesn't expect him to play flawlessly.
No, he didn't.
And, overall passing wise, he completed 80% of his passes. So, I don't really know exactly what those passes look like, if they were short length or medium length or whatever they were. But
yeah, most of them were pretty short.
Yeah. And, and that's fine. He's just trying to get his feet wet right now. And, there's a reason this kid, was ranked as highly as he was. So I'm sure, this is all about just getting him a little bit of game time. And, if he progresses and whatever, he might be the quarterback sooner than later.
Yep.
Because,
although I definitely think that, the way that I watched Mac Jones play today, the only way Bryce Young should be playing is if he either drastically takes a turn for the worst or he gets injured. Because Mac Jones looked solid. He made some great throws. He took control of the ball. He controlled the clock. He did everything you could ask. You know, in years past, I feel like a lot of times the quarterbacks were just decent to okay, and as opposed to really good players. I really think that, you know, they were just people that were kind of serviceable because you always have the running game and then defense. So I really believe that he is a good player, and I think from some of the throws I watched him make today, granted it is against Missouri's defense, but Missouri's defense had like 9 returning starters or something, they said. So, you know, this wasn't against a bunch of noobs out there. This was against a lot of returning players for the other team, and I watched him throw some pretty great passes. So, I mean, I was pretty excited to see that.
No, I can understand why. And, you know, Max a junior, so he still does have one more year of eligibility left. So,
yeah, I definitely think that he played as, you know, what you want to see out of him, for sure.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing I wanted to touch on, speaking of defense, was our defense. You know, yes, we ended up giving up 19 points, I believe it was, but I definitely thought that it was a pretty...
And the vehicle does the rest.
oh, damn it.
It's one of the things that I love so much.
Sorry.
I definitely thought that it was a pretty solid performance overall by the defense. We lost a lot of players in the past season, and I wasn't really sure what we were going to look like because last season the defense wasn't as good as it is normally supposed to be, which I thought was a disappointing thing to see because that's what we've always kind of prided ourselves on. And last year they showed up at times, but for the most part they were just set on outscoring people. And I think when you have two on your side on your offense, I think it's easy to just get in that mindset of, well, it doesn't really matter if we don't perform super highly on defense because the offense will bail us out every time. But the problem is there's games where we win against high-powered offenses in their own right, and like in the LSU game, and then when we go against LSU, their defense played better and their offense was as good, if not better. So that just equals a loss.
Right.
Same thing happened in the Auburn game. So, I mean, it happens, but it is what it is.
No, I agree.
And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is, well, actually two more things. The first thing is that Najee Harris definitely came to play today. I can't remember what his stat line was, but he had something like I think 18 carries for some odd amount of yardage. Yeah, 17 carries for 98 yards, 5.8 yards a carry. I mean, it was basically one of those situations where he wasn't getting touched till he was quite a few yards downfield in most scenarios. Every time they handed it to him, he just, I mean, at the very least, he fell forward. He wasn't getting dragged down by one guy usually. He was just bulldozing people over. So, typical Alabama running back, pretty much.
Yep.
Just impossible to take down unless you completely wrap him up. You know, all this, you know, getting a big hit on the guy stuff doesn't usually work against our running backs.
No.
You got to wrap them up and gang tackle, otherwise they're
usually
breaking
one
through.
guy's not bringing them down.
Yeah, otherwise they're breaking free unless you gang tackle them, pretty much.
Yep.
And there was a lot of times tonight where I just saw Najee Harris just stiff arm people, push them off, carry guys with him a couple yards that are trying to hold on to him and stuff. So great performance by him tonight. I was very happy with how he performed.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just going to be another typical, Alabama, run through the division, especially after watching LSU go down.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think the team they went down to is going to be a bit more of a tough game than they usually are for us. We'll see how it ends up happening. That was the other thing that I wanted to get into is their schedule for the next coming weeks. I'm not sure completely who they play, but I know who's in the West, and I know we're playing Georgia from the East this year. And then obviously the other East team we played was Missouri, which we played today. So, it was important that we knocked Missouri out in the first week, especially on the road. That was a good win. So it looks like we're going to be playing Texas A&M next week, and then the following week we're playing Ole Miss, and then that game against Georgia at home. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty we'll see what ends up happening, but I look at those as games that could be walkthroughs, could be difficult games. Texas A&M, they got Jimbo now, so I'm not entirely sure what they're going to look like this year. Ole Miss, I watched some of that game, and even though they lost to Florida, they definitely looked like a much improved team under Kiffin. And honestly, I thought there was a time where they were going to turn that game around before they got screwed by a call. So by a roughing the passer call, which basically just removed all doubt. And then obviously Georgia is going to be.
They're always tough.
They're always tough, and especially now with the recruiting and stuff that they're getting, that's going to be a real test to see where we're at. If we lose that game, then
well, at least you got them at home, though. I mean, playing them in Alabama. So.
Yep, exactly. So I definitely think the West is always, statistically, the West is always a pretty tough out. Not always does that equal Alabama having tough games, but, you look at the West and they're usually one of the more difficult conferences in college football in the SEC West. So I definitely think that if they're not careful, they could easily lose a handful of games. I think there's a lot of game teams on the schedule, and, we got to play, looks like we got to play Tennessee and Kentucky too. So I guess we're playing 4 teams from the East this year, which I didn't realize. I'm not surprised to see Tennessee on there because that's a rivalry game, so we always play them. But looks like we're playing Kentucky too. And Kentucky, these last handful of years, has been a pretty game opponent as well.
Yep.
So I don't think that's a slouch.
What's his name? Actually, no, he went to Kansas, I think. The guy that coached at LSU there. Les Miles.
Yeah, he's on Kansas.
Yeah, he went to Kansas.
But the coach at Kentucky, though, they've definitely turned that program around, because it used to be, 3-win football team and all the recruits were going over there for basketball. But nowadays, they're competing. Last year, they were one of the better teams in the East. I think they ended up finishing second or third in the Eastern Conference. Or, the Eastern side of the conference. So, I think we got a lot of tough games. And obviously, Auburn, that's going to be, doesn't seem to matter who's good and who's not. That always is a down-to-the-wire thing.
Yep.
If Auburn is bad and we're good, they somehow put up a great performance against us to make it difficult. Or if we're bad and they're really good, we pull out our best game of the year. That's how it seems to always go. So,
you got two quality programs there, well coached, both of them, and
and a history at both.
And I think that Mississippi State game could be really interesting as well,
Yeah.
Obviously, they went into LSU today and shocked the world. So I mean, that just goes to show you too what a great coach Mike Leach is.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game, but we got that one at home too, so that's gonna be helpful. A lot of our tougher games, we got Auburn, Mississippi State, at LSU, but Auburn, Mississippi State, Georgia, those are all home games for us this year. So that's gonna be really important down the stretch. I'm also not convinced that LSU is just horrible this year because they lost today. I think with the COVID stuff going on, I think it's just going to take a little bit longer for teams to get into the flow of things this year more than other years. So I don't think that just because they lost today that they're just going to be an easy out. Because, again, they're another team that doesn't seem – our games against them, no matter what direction the programs are going, it seems like they're always close. They're just a tough matchup because they play stylistically very similar to how we play. So it just I just think that kind of matchup where you got two teams that want to do the same thing pretty much equates a tough game.
Yep.
So
No, and they're two teams that are always evenly matched as far as talent.
yeah,
LSU's
there's not a whole lot of recruits that are going to Alabama that wouldn't even consider LSU. I mean, usually guys that are going to Alabama or going to LSU have Alabama either above or beyond. I mean, above or below destination spots for that. So they're definitely tough in terms of recruiting. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But overall though, just to kind of close it out, definitely impressed with today's win. I was really happy with how the team played. It ended up being 38-19 or something, but they didn't get their points until late fourth quarter. For most of the game, it was like 38-3 for a good portion of the game. So I definitely feel like we played really well, and giving up points in garbage time. Those guys that are in during garbage time are our future. So just because, it's garbage time and it doesn't matter, doesn't mean I like to see us giving up points, because those guys are going to be the ones that are the main roster guys here pretty soon. So I don't really like to see that kind of stuff happen. But, hey, a win is a win.
Yep. No, I would take.
And we have the advantage as opposed to a lot of teams where just about every guy we have on the field year to year are 5-star recruits. So a lot of teams don't get that privilege.
No.
Our second string could start for a lot of people.
Yep.
So like he mentioned earlier. So I'm definitely not too worried. And again, the defense definitely was really good. And hopefully we can continue that, because like I said, last year came down to a lot of shootouts with teams because our defense just didn't play like they have in years past. But I definitely think they took a step forward tonight. And if we can keep playing like that defensively with that energy, I think a lot of promising things are going to be coming this year. So, and offensively too. I mean, when the starters were in, we were doing just about anything we wanted to out there. So,
Right.
Great performance by the Crimson Tide tonight. If you're a Tide fan, got to be happy with this. And, we could have played better, but we could have played worse too. So I'm sure Nick Saban was probably pretty upset that they allowed 19 points. And I'm sure the guys will be running some serious UCLAs in practice, especially for, giving up. They gave up one touchdown as time expired. So, boy, that second unit, get ready for practice this week. It's going to be a long week. So, but, any final thoughts?
No, I kind of echo what you said. It was a good win. Given the circumstances with the pandemic and everything, They weren't having the practice time and all the stuff that they normally would have. I think Saban will look at it, as being as realistic as they can about, hey, we didn't have as much time as we usually would have. So, you're going to be, a little rusty, more rusty than you would be coming into this game usually. So, there were some things they need to improve on, but at no point in this game were they in fear of losing it. So, that's really all you can ask for. Missouri, like I said, is usually a pretty game program. So,
the
entire good victory.
The entire time it really felt like they were pretty outmanned. And the other thing is too, along that subject, is that they had, I think, 7 players out due to COVID, which definitely didn't help their situation.
No.
I don't think we had any, but we may have. But Missouri doesn't have 5-star guys sitting on the bench either.
No, the depth is a little bit different there between the two schools. So
they don't have the ability to just say, oh well, if our quarterback goes out, it's okay because we got another 5-star guy sitting behind him that would be starting on every other team. So, overall good performance today. Really happy with it, and I'm really happy to be bringing you guys this video. Like I said, this is an Alabama breakdown from week 1 against Missouri. Next week we'll be playing Texas A&M, so really looking forward to that game. And make sure you tune in. I'll be giving my preview of the Texas A&M game and what I think moving forward in the coming week. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But for now, this has been Tuned In Sports. Bryson.
I'm Steve.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.